Hello and welcome. I'm Nicole from iPad Calligraphy, and today we're doing something a bit different. Joining me for this mini training session is Abbie Nurse from Uproot. Hey,
Hi.
Abbie, how are you going?
Hi. I'm good. Thanks, Nicole. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us. I'm so pleased you could make it. I was saying to you before the session, I remember back in the early days of Procreate, seeing you posting on the Procreate forum all the time and sharing free brushes.
Yeah.
And so I've always seen you as
ago.
a prolific creator. Yes, yeah, definitely. And I love the fun and variety in your work. So we're really excited to have you as a guest on the blog and the channel today. Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're going to show us?
I'm going to show you how to take a photo from Unsplash or your own photo, whatever picture you like, and turn it into a grainy, retro-looking screen tone image. So it looks like it's sort of 70s-ish vibe. And then we're going to put a word over the top and make that look a bit grungy as well. And the edges will be all grunged up.
That sounds really cool. And I believe you've also prepared a freebie for the guys watching today. Is that right?
Yes, it's a little sampler from the Procreate Printworks pack. There's a whole set of brushes that are specifically for creating paper overlays and textures. And it's a pair of brushes from there, and it'll give your work a really cool papery vibe.
Really realistic paper. I love it. Thank you. Okay, so we'll be talking about that more later. So stick around if you want to grab that freebie from Abbie. And the brushes you're using are from your Printworks pack, I believe.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. I've been playing around with that set recently, and I mean, the resources are just amazing. But what really stood out as well is those quick start training guides that you include for each brush set. That was just amazing. Yeah. So there's a lot in there.
When I finished making those, I thought, oh my gosh, this is almost like a book you've written.
It's training in itself. It was like a mini course. I couldn't believe it. So it's awesome and can't wait to see it in action. Why don't you take us through it and dive right in? You're going to share your screen, right?
Yeah, I'll share my screen now.
We'll get that sorted.
Okay, so this is what we're going for. This is the thing you'll end up with in the end. It's going to be a fun image with a little word over the top. And you can see that I'm not really good at lettering and thinking up words. I mean, funky farts, who even says that? So we just start with a normal canvas. I like a square canvas. It's my favorite. And we're going to go and have to grab an image. So we're going to go to Unsplash, which I've got open here. And I've just searched the word city because you can get a pretty cool skyline or a street view or something. And the kind of image you're looking for is something that's got a lot of tonal depth. So an image like this one here, this night image, is not going to work very well because it's all dark and there's a few little specks of light, but it's not giving you sort of contrast between shapes. So an image more like this one here, that's a good one. That'll work well. A skyline would work well. This, not so much, not so much. This would work really well because there's a bright area and a dark area. Anyway, so I've saved a whole lot of images. Let me show you how to do that so that you can do it in the future. So let's say I decide on the Eiffel Tower. I just tap that little arrow that points downwards, tap download, and then it jumps into this little spot here. And it's over there. And when you tap it, it'll open it. And this arrow will allow you to save the image. And then when you hop into Procreate, you can import it as a photo. So the image that I've decided to use today is going to be this one. It's just a lovely city street. So you can see it doesn't fit the canvas properly. So if you have magnetics and snapping on, you can actually get the image to jump to exactly the size of the canvas if you hit fit to canvas.
What a good pro tip.
And then if you want to move it just so that it makes a bit more sense in your format, I just shifted it down a bit. Okay. now comes the fun part, messing with it. So make a bunch of layers. We've got some stuff to work with. And then we go to our image that we imported, and we're going to turn it into grayscale. And the way you do that is you go to hue, saturation, and brightness, and you just desaturate it completely by going all the way to the left on the saturation slider. And it's quite dark and moody, but we'll see if that's going to be appropriate in the next step. So in the layer above, grab black, pure black, not some bluey black, black, which is down in this corner. And go to the screen print brush pack in the Printworks pack. There's a whole lot of brush packs in there. There's, hang on, let me count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 different ones.
I love how you've got those little coloured circles as well, because it really stands out in a sea of sets. You can see them straight away.
It helps me. And you go and grab the brush that's right at the bottom of the screen print set called Screen Tone Hard Mix, and it just looks like a monoline brush, but I promise you it's not. Mm-hmm. And we've got black in that brush, and we're just going to whoops across the whole layer. So this layer is now filled. Mm-hmm. And it just looks like that, which is nothing. And then we're going to change the blend mode, and the magic's going to happen. And we change it to hard mix.
Wow.
And you can see that now we've got a newspaper image.
Awesome. That's so cool. And such
it is. And
quick
really
way.
Quick. Yeah.
What?
Now black and white is boring. So make another layer above it. And we're going to make it, let's say, pink. And fill that layer with pink. And then set the blend mode to screen. And suddenly everything that was black is now pink. But this is really sort of flat and boring. So I want to introduce another layer that's going to show you all the details in that picture. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to take this little set and make another one above that we'll be able to see through. So let's make this, set the blend mode to multiply and turn these into clipping masks. So essentially, this whole group is now pretending to be a single layer, and it's set to multiply. Mm-hmm. So we're going to group those so they're easy to work with, and then just duplicate that. Now you can see that because it's set to multiply, the pink is making it darker.
That's cool.
Let's change this to turquoise. Just fill the layer with turquoise. And now I don't actually want all this blue. I want some pink to show through and some blue. So the way to do that is to change the tonal values in the original image. And you do that by heading to curves. And make a dot in the center of the line and just drag it up.
Wow, that's so cool.
And now we've got, look at that. That looks really, looks really, really much nice.
I mean, to do that manually, you couldn't really even do that manually, could you? With it would just take too long erasing out the different areas. That's incredible.
So now,
that's so cool.
Now it's much more contrasty, and you can see the windows and everything. Yeah. So that's our base. That's our picture that we're going to be working with.
Wow.
So let's leave those at the bottom. And now we want to put a word over the top. So I don't know. What are we going to write? What do you want to write, Nicole?
What are we going to write? Well, I know it's not summer for the Americans watching and the big part of the audience. Let's just write summer because I'm feeling quite hot today. So
yeah, I just had a swim before we got on. I was roasting. Okay, all right, summer. Okay, this font that I'm using, let's show you.
It's lovely.
It's a really nice font, and it's got lots of different versions. It's called Fat Flamingo, or Fat Flamingo is the name. So just keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
And let's hang on. let's make the word a bit bigger. And that looks good. Right. Now to see what we're doing, I'm going to turn these off so we can see what's going on here. Now, I'm no lettering genius, so that's why I like using fonts. But to make them look a little bit more, you know, hand drawn, you can add a little crinkly edge to them. So the way to do that is with one of the brushes that are in the little freebie pack that I made. So tap the text layer, and then tap select. And go to the layer above and hide your text. And here in the little freebie pack, choose this one called Noise Brush. And then grab any color you like and just go over it. Oops, once. And you can see it's like a little crummy, noisy thing. Yeah. And now we're going to go to Gaussian Blur, and we're going to hit it with about 3%. Like a high 3, not a low 3, because there's a bit of play between 2 and 4.
There's a big difference, yeah.
So let's hit there. Okay. Now we're going to select the space around the word using automatic select with the little lasso tool. Automatic. And you can decide how bumpy you want the edges by the threshold of your selection. And you change threshold by sliding left and right with your pencil. So see, that's high, that's low. So
this is selecting the area outside of the text.
Yes, outside of the text. So we're about, I don't know, 11. Don't forget the holes. The E has also got a hole. And now we actually don't want to select the area outside. We want to select the area inside. So we just tap invert. And turn that layer off and go to a new layer and tap fill layer. And now we have this crummy, bumpy, gorgeous letter. But we want it to look printed. So we're going to use another brush from the Printworks pack and tap select on that layer. Turn it off, go to the layer above. And here in the Inks and Brays pack, there are lots of inky, rollery textures that you can choose.
This stood out to me, this set.
Yeah. And you can actually use this in the Inks and Brays across all of the sets because that inky texture is common to all printing.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to use Inky Gappy. And then fill it in as much as you think you need it to. And just it's pressure sensitive. So if you just press really hard and color it all in, it's just going to look like you've filled it in by tapping fill, and you'll lose all the goodness. Okay, let's see what it looks like over the top.
That's awesome.
That looks good.
That looks cool.
Now, I might not want pink here. Let's rather go for peach. And you can just change it up really easily by just going to that screen layer and just tapping fill.
So that's just a solid fill layer, just to remind us.
It's just a solid fill layer.
That's so cool.
That's a bit violent on the eyes.
The orange. But you could really play with that, couldn't you, and try out lots of different.
Exactly.
And that color palette you're using there, Abbie, is that in the freebie or the full pack?
This little color palette is in the freebie pack. So it's the color palette, and then you'll also get the noise brush, and then the last thing is 2 paper overlays. I mean, paper textures. The one's an overlay and the one is the paper texture.
Right.
And that's from this set, the paper set, which has lots of paper textures. I love paper textures. Which are all nice.
And having different ones to play with. There's a lot in there.
These ones work in a slightly different way to paper textures I've seen in the past. They create a completely opaque layer, and you can use it as if you've imported an image of paper. So you grab white whenever you use these paper brushes, and we'll start with the normal paper texture layer. And you'll notice I've made a notch on the size here.
That's an awesome new little thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
The
great.
save the size. Could you just show people how you would do that if you wanted to?
Let's say I want to save size 30%. Tap plus, and you get a little notch there.
So handy.
So for this one, I've sized them to 60% because these the texture grain gets bigger and smaller as you resize the brush. And when you're using these brushes, you want them to both be at the same size so that when they lie over each other, they make that harmonious texture together.
Right.
So we'll start with just the normal texture and fill the layer. So there we've got a nice recycled paper texture. And if we set that to linear burn, that already is making it look pretty cool.
Yeah.
But the winner is this one. And grab the overlay paper texture, also at the same size. I made them match, and also with white. And it makes this dog blanket gray. And then when you set that to overlay, suddenly everything pops.
That is awesome. That looks so realistic.
There we
Incredible. Go. Oh my God.
That was pretty quick.
Yeah, that was really quick for the effect you get as well. That's incredible. Yeah, well done, Abbie. What an amazing pack. And I loved that you included as well the paper swatches. I thought that was quite clever because even though there's just subtle variation, sometimes choosing those off-white colours can be a little tricky, getting it right. So yeah, there's lots in there, and a font I saw as well.
Oh yes, I did. I made a font too.
Did you make that font?
Yes, I did. I went and I looked for all sorts of block print letters, the kind that come in those trays where they
like the old school sort of stamp.
Exactly. And I found different ones. Yes, exactly. And I made a font. It was actually fun. I got carried away. It was really so cool.
That's awesome. Well, I really appreciate that. Thank you. And if you guys are interested in grabbing the freebie that Abbie's prepared for us, you can go to ipadcalligraphy.com/Abbie, which is ABBIE, and download your free sample of the Printworks pack, which is available at Design Cuts. Thank you so much for joining us, Abbie. That was such a cool session. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Cheers. See you next time. All right, bye.
Bye.